The Manhattan Project. It was 1942, and World War II was raging on with no end in sight. The people of the United States grew restless about this seemingly never-ending war. The United States was facing many problems, including a labor crisis caused by the need for soldiers, financial issues that popped up due to the prolonged war efforts, and the number of resources dwindling because of the number of assets needed to fight a mass-scale war. The United States, in response to the uneasiness of the citizens and government officials of the United States, began to create a secret project to put a swift and decisive blow to the opposing side. The U.S. enlisted the help of Major General Leslie Groves, an American-born officer for the United States Army Corps.
And then there was just the establishment of PSAC, which originally consisted almost, I'd say, entirely of physicists. It was during the Eisenhower administration, and what Killian, who had been the president of MIT, was the first chairman of PSAC. And that was a very effective organization in advising the president, bringing scientific input to the forefront. I know when I first went on PSAC, Lee DuBridge, who had been head of the radiation lab at MIT during the war, subsequently became president of Caltech and then became head of PSAC, the President of the Science Advisory Committee. It was just very active in advising the executive policy. I remember in those days, when policy questions arose in the government, various departments of the government would have to sign off. State Department, CIA, so on. Well, PSAC was another agency that had to sign off on these things, so they were privy to all these rather important decisions being made.
The Major General recruited Glenn Seaborg, an American-born chemist, Klaus Fuchs, a German theoretical physicist, Ernesto Lorentz, an American-born nuclear physicist, Hans Bethe, a theoretical physicist from Germany, Leo Szilard, a Hungarian physicist, and J. Robert Oppenheimer, an American theoretical physicist. Seaborg discovered plutonium, a critical component of atomic weapon technology. Fuchs developed the means needed to implode the critical fissionable core within the first atomic core. Lorentz invented the cyclotron, a device that accommodated the acceleration of nuclear particles to a high enough voltage to disintegrate atoms. Bethe discovered several crucial aspects of physics that made the atomic bomb possible. Szilard developed the first self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction, and Oppenheimer, who has understanding of fast neutrons and the logistics behind producing an atom bomb. They each brought on other members, including James B. Conant, Vannevar Bush, Edward Teller, and James Franck. The Manhattan Project faced many difficult problems, including needing to mass-produce plutonium, the primary fissile isotope used to produce atomic weapons, developing a method for its chemical separation, a spy integrated into the Manhattan Project who was secretly spying for the Soviet Union, finding sites to test and create the bombs in secret, and finding other members to join due to the dangers of creating or working with nuclear power and weaponry. In order to solve the problem of mass-producing plutonium, they took 22-centimeter-long slugs of naturally occurring uranium and slid them into the horizontal tubes. Surrounded by graphite, the uranium was transformed by nuclear fission into plutonium. The problem of finding a method for its chemical separation by using a method in which by giving uranium a positive charge. Machines called collotrons use electromagnets to repel the two isotopes towards different targets. Thirdly, the problem of a Soviet spy that was integrated into the Manhattan Project was overcome because the spy took Klaus Fuchs' information to the Soviet Union. However, it was little help in figuring out how or what they were creating. To fix the problem of finding a place for the project to take place, Major General Groves selected and approved 3 locations for the project: Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Hanford, Washington, and Los Alamos, New Mexico, each specifically selected for being secluded. In order to fix the problem of gathering members to staff the project, Oppenheimer spent the first 3 months of 1943 tirelessly crisscrossing the country in an attempt to put together a staff. The Manhattan Project caused a great many impacts, both short and long. Some of the short-term impacts included massively contributing to the end of World War II, destroying 2 Japanese cities, subsequently crippling the Japanese Empire, and sparking a nuclear arms race during the Cold War. The Manhattan Project allowed the U.S. to show its power by launching an assault of 2 bombs created by the project on Japanese cities. Japan was a massive power during World War II, and one of the Axis powers' greatest members. Japan's massive attack caused the country to take the defensive in the war and made them subsequently withdraw from the war. Another short-term impact was the destruction of 2 Japanese cities caused by the bombs created during the Manhattan Project, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. By destroying the 2 cities, the United States showed their weaponry might fully demolish them and swiftly. The presentation of the world's first atomic bomb showed what humanity could create and disasters it could create. The Cold War was a time in history when the threat of launching atomic bombs could have very well occurred, and the creation of those atomic bombs was made by the Manhattan Project. Term impacts include making massive strides in nuclear power, causing many health problems to the survivors of the war that have carried on to their future generations, and making humanity question whether they are ever safe from the threat of mass destruction caused by the Manhattan Project's development of the atomic bomb, and helping to make medical machines using radiation. One long-term impact was the creation of the Manhattan Project bombs, Fat Man and Little Boy, which brought with it massive strides in the Manhattan Project. By making a bomb that was able to generate as much as it did in a small amount of time, it provided the prototype of modern nuclear reactors. Another long-term impact of the project was the health problems that were caused by the radiation that the bombs were dropped produced. Health problems such as leukemia and cancer in the stomach, liver, lungs, and breasts. Cancers and leukemia ended many bloodlines, entirely killing many people and future generations. The Manhattan Project's other long-term impact was making the world question whether they are ever safe from the threat of mass destruction. The world became scared of war as weapons of mass destruction could be used, and countries implemented policies for nuclear weapons, changing foreign relations entirely. Another long-term impact is helping to create medical machines using radiation as seen in the bombings. X-ray machines were made more efficiently and safer, and MRI machines are used and created by ionizing radiation. The project led to many changes. It caused many terrible things to occur, but in the wake of all the destruction it caused, it also created some great things to happen. And without it, it would have changed drastically. The history of the world would not be the same without the project that changed the way humans view themselves.